Can I be mean for a second? I'm very big on DNFing. I'm very pro quit that book today if you're not enjoying it. Life's too short to read a bad book. I don't believe in forcing myself to like slog through something that's making me miserable, that I'm not enjoying, that I don't think is done well. Every month I document my monthly reads and my monthly DNFs, but I would really like to focus on, at this point in the halfway point in the year, all of the books that I've specifically rage quit. Because sometimes you DNF because something, you're just not feeling it in that moment. You're just not in the mood for that genre, that pace, that vibe. So you soft DNF it. You're like, you know what? I'm going to put this down, but I can and will circle back to this at another point in time. And sometimes I DNF a book. I hard DNF because it's just like, I'm not really feeling it, but I don't really have any strong feelings towards it whatsoever. Like Three Bags Full. That's the book that got adapted into the Sheep Detectives movie. I got like 40% of the way into that book and I like it. It's sweet. It has its enjoyable moments, but it was quite literally putting me to sleep. And I was like honestly kind of sad that I was DNFing because I was like, I feel like I can enjoy this, but I just am not. But I'm just going to talk to you about the books that I've hard DNF'd because I hate them. We're going to go in order from the beginning of the year to what I just rage quit like 3 days ago. I hated Filthy Rich Fae and Filthy Rich Vampire for very similar reasons, with that reason being that I hate when you present me with a female lead, with a heroine, with a leading lady who is stupid and lacks self-preservation. I can't do it. It aggravates me to my core. Within the world of Filthy Rich Fae and Filthy Rich Vampire, these are urban fantasies. And Filthy Rich Fae, this Fae family functions as sort of like a mob family. Our main character, Kate, has a brother that consistently gets himself into trouble with these mob people. And so he gets himself into trouble with the local Fae crime family. His life is on the line. She goes to talk to the head of that family, who is her love interest, spoiler alert, Lachlan. His name's Lachlan or Lachlin. I think it's Lachlan. She goes to talk to Lackluster to save her brother's life and makes a deal with him, her soul for his. What bothered me was that this deal was like to be with this Fae crime boss guy, and it was so vague. The conversation surrounding the rules of the deal was such a non-conversation, and she doesn't seem to realize the gravity of what she agreed to until after she agreed to do it. She's established as being like a medical professional, so like I know she's intelligent and I know that she's educated and I know that she should be smarter than this, but she isn't. Like the conversation was essentially, okay, I'll do whatever to save my brother, and he's like, okay, I own you, and she's like, okay, I guess you own me, and then he's like, okay, I own you now, and she's like, wait, oh my god, he owns me? Like that's essentially what happened. Come back down to earth. I'm so irritated. And then Filthy Rich Vampire. Worse, actually. Looking back on this, I made one highlight, and it, I think, encapsulates entirely what, oh my god, like I feel like I'm gonna break out into hives. I'm so pissed off just thinking about her. This centers a woman named Thea. Okay, she's a human woman. She's not very knowledgeable on the world of vampires. She is working a gala that she doesn't realize is being run by and like filled to the brim with vampires. Because in this world, there's like these elite vampire societies, and they have this whole marriage market, and they have this whole thing with like how they operate with human women. Thea's love interest, Julian, is a vampire, but he's morally and ethically against this marriage market situation, the logistics of this. He's at this gala and he sees Thea and he's immediately drawn to her. Oh my gosh. He panics because he recognizes that she does not know what's going on and she's an innocent person who is in immense danger. And he approaches her trying to warn her that she is in danger. And this is where I quit, because she just thinks he's crazy and laughs it off. Even if you don't think vampires are real, if you go to a party and a man comes up to you in a panic telling you that you are going to be murdered, you go home. Even if you think he's crazy. Actually, I think you thinking he's crazy should put you even more on edge and make you even more nervous about what is going to happen. My one highlight from that book is her response to him and where I officially stopped. She says in response to him, "Up until now, I thought you were just an asshole, but you really are crazy sauce." Crazy sauce? And then there's Dragon Cursed. Oh my god. Dragon Cursed is a fantasy romance. This is a fantasy city that is overrun with dragons, and also this dragon curse plague that turns you into a dragon or like gives you this like dragon related disease. I don't actually know what was going on with that. Okay, yes, it turns you into a dragon because like I thought that that's what it was, but then I was saying it out loud and it sounded really stupid. It's essentially a zombie plague virus, but dragons. And nobody wants to be dragon cursed. There is no cure to the curse. And there's this school, this training academy for training dragon hunters. And our main character, our girl, wants to be one of those people. But she is dragon cursed, but she's keeping it under wraps. It's very much so hiding a secret zombie bite in the apocalypse. And she sees some guy she knows. What are their names? Isola. That's our main character. And then there's her love interest, Lucan. And then we get into my beef with this book. Now, Lucan and Isola have a power imbalance, like a social power imbalance, and that's really, really difficult to pull off in an enemies to lovers relationship dynamic. An argument is made often that true enemies are equals. I do not enjoy enemies to lovers dynamics where it is oppressed versus oppressor, and that's the territory that we're entering. I didn't even get to seeing how this author handled that transitionary period into this power imbalance, entering an equal hatership into an equal friendship or romance, because I was getting agitated with Isola consistently getting distracted with how attractive she thinks Lucan is. If you actually hate this man and he has also all of this power over you in your life, I don't see how you can easily just sort of like lose your train of thought to look at how dreamy he is. You look spineless and just embarrassing. And I don't like you. So yeah, I hard DNF'd before I could even hit 100 pages, which is my goal with books that like I'm not sure about. I try to aim for page 100 so that at that point, if I still don't like it after 100 pages, we're too far gone. That's 100 chances to turn things around and you didn't. Oh my God, Duck's Newburyport. I DNF'd this on page 10 because I genuinely couldn't do it anymore. Now, I had picked this up because I knew it was going to be a challenge, and I'm happy with failing this challenge. It was actually ruining my life. Duck's Newburyport is a stream of consciousness style novel from the perspective of a suburban housewife who is just going through constantly her daily tasks and her random meandering thoughts, written mainly as one gigantic continuous sentence with like a bajillion trillion commas to continue on with these sporadic thoughts. What was actually melting my brain and making me want to rip the skin off of my body was that whenever the author is breaking off to a new thought, after the comma, the thought is like 9 times out of 10 started with the words, the fact that. So a whole section of the book would genuinely read like, the fact that blank, the fact that blank, the fact that blankly blank 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 blank, the fact that blank blank, the fact that. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't deal with having to read the words, the fact that, anymore, to the point where I had the like ebook edition. I stopped what I was doing. I searched the words, the fact that, to see how many times it was used in the book. I'm not joking. 19,443. I'm not gonna read the words, the fact that, 19,443 times. And when I was posting about this, about like how I was like rage quitting this, so many people came into my comment section being like, wow, people hate to challenge themselves these days. If refusing to read the words, the fact that, 19,000 times makes me someone who's like so simple-minded and like averse to a challenge, then I think you should take that sentiment and shove it up your ass over 19,000 times. I don't care to hear it. And then other people were like, you being irritated was the point. And it's like, great. Then it's arguably too successful. It's too good at what it's trying to accomplish, and you can read it instead. Then there was The Nightingale, and this one was so frustrating because I wanted to like it. So many people recommended this book to me, like directly to me specifically. I love the Fanning sisters. I love a Fanning. And I had this moment where I was like, you know what? I don't read a lot of historical fiction. I read historical romances, and I was like, maybe I should. And so I pushed myself. I DNF'd at page 205, which I think is admirable. I put up a good fight. I could not deal with this. The Nightingale is a piece of World War II historical fiction, and it centers these two sisters living in France in 1939. So we're witnessing the takeover of the Nazis and how that is impacting these two very different sisters. One of these sisters becomes a rebel and a radical fighting against the Nazis. The other sister stays home and develops which contributed to my DNF, a really bizarre close relationship with a Nazi soldier. I think he's like a general or something, like a high-ranking Nazi officer. And when it came to the rebel sister's story, I didn't like how much we were refocusing on her relationship to some other rebel, because I thought her story was so interesting on its own and just felt like the romance refocusing was so deeply unnecessary. The language of this book was driving me bonkers. This book centers French characters. It takes place in France. We know that the characters are speaking French, even if our copy of the book, even though the story that's being written is all in English, we know that they are French people speaking French to each other. Are you still with me? Fantastic. Every once in a while, there will be these random French words thrown in. And I completely understand if these are words and terms that are not easy to translate. If there's slang or certain formalities that just don't translate into English, fine. Leave them there. This author refused to use the word yes in dialogue. Any time a character said yes to one another, they said oui. Why? I give you a pass for mademoiselle, right? Oui, and it would be random words like that do have a direct English translation, so you don't need to put it in French, especially, like, is it to remind us that these French people are speaking French in France? Is that what that was? Why? Like, I'm actually, my body temperature, like, I'm getting irritated just thinking about it. Like, that was actually aggravating the hell out of me. There was no rhyme or reason. There would be these random words that were just French for no reason. Then we get into my two most recent DNFs. Moderation by Elaine Castillo. Now, this is what's frustrating about it. I got like halfway. I got to 51% and then I DNF'd. What was frustrating is that there are parts of this that I really, really enjoy. Like, I am absolutely going to give this author another chance with a different book because I really enjoy her writing style. I enjoy the language and how she writes. What lost me was the subject matter and the plot that was being attempted. Moderation is, I guess, a sci-fi literary fiction novel. It takes place in our very modern landscape, but we're working with some pretty advanced technology. Our main character's name is Girly, and she's a really skilled content moderator. So, like, she goes online and on these social media platforms, and when things get flagged, she approves whether or not it's actually inappropriate. And it starts out really, really heavy because a lot of the material that she is moderating is really, really disturbing up material. We're talking about child sexual abusive material, school shooting content. There's a side story that's being discussed that builds up into a former colleague's suicide. There's really heavy subject matter that we're moving through. Then the plot progresses and we get into a romance plot. Girly gets a new boss, kind of, because like this other company purchases the company that she works for, and she gets recruited by the new boss, who happens to be very young and handsome and rich, to consider being a moderator for his new like virtual reality game situation, where again, a lot of this material, this heavy material, is a concern in the VR world that she would still be moderating. But like, while this is happening, while she's going through the training of getting used to this new virtual reality situation, she's developing feelings for her boss. And it's just really, really difficult to get into a mindset for romance when we're also talking about virtual. I think these are two topics that just cannot mesh. And last but certainly not least, the book I hard DNF'd out of sheer rage like 3 days ago. Well, Actually by Hazy Eddings. This is a contemporary rom-com. A rom-com that appears to be inspired very heavily by the general concept of Chicken Shop Date, which, if you don't know, is a very popular internet celebrity interview show where a woman goes on dates with different celebrities, but at a chicken shop, and they eat fried chicken. It's a very popular show. It does really well. So our main character has her own internet celebrity interview show where our main character Eva goes on hot dog eating dates with celebrities to interview them, but it's still a date so they can flirt. It's very clearly inspired by Chicken Shop Date. Like, it's literally just swapping fried chicken for hot dogs. And a lot of people thought that this book was heavily inspired by this one particular Chicken Shop Date episode with Andrew Garfield, because the two had really fantastic chemistry with one another. And people were actually kind of like shipping it and hoping that they become something real, that the date developed into a real date. I'm letting you know right now that the only basis for this is that Eva's love interest across from her at the table is a white guy with brown hair. And so we get into the core conflict of this story being that Eva has this ex-boyfriend named Riley Cooper, and he has become a major men's advice influencer since they dated and broke up in college. And Riley's style of content, like his specific type of advice to men, is to like deconstruct away from like manosphere content. Like, he teaches men how to be better men, to be more feminist or whatever. And so the conflict comes about Eva drunkenly going on social media and making a video talking about how he's such a hypocrite because when she dated him, he was the asshole that he is talking about and like addressing in his content. And then she posts it and it goes viral in order to make amends and also save the PR nightmare that was. He comes onto her show and does the interview date, and then people see that they have chemistry and then they date, and that's the plot. That's what you know going into it. I DNF'd at 10%. I didn't even get to when they like met in person. What made me want to pull my hair out, number one, the humor. I am not the target demographic for adulting is hard, I'm such a train wreck, humor. I think you're really annoying and pathetic. I don't think that's funny. It's really hard to enjoy a romantic comedy that you don't think is funny, literally at all. How we get to the conflict of like her drunkenly exposing her ex-boyfriend online, that it just makes zero sense to me. Sausage Talk is an internet talk show. You are on social media. It is content creating on social media. You are a social media content creator. This is your full-time job. It is part of your job, a significant part of your job, to be very online and following trends and following public opinion online about these different celebrities that you're getting onto your show. You have to be so online. You have to be so in tune and familiar with how social media works for this job to work. So how are you, as someone whose whole job is social media, gonna tell me that you accidentally went viral, that you made this video where you also made sure you looked good on camera, where you also made sure you still edited the video? Yeah, you were drunk when you made it, but you weren't so drunk that you didn't edit the video and add captions and add photo stickers. Like, this is explicitly stated. She hits upload, she goes to bed. You put all of that effort to make a good quality video. Yeah, you didn't have a lot of followers on your personal account, but you had a public account. You made sure that this was a good video, and then you published it to a public account, not a private one, a public account for anyone to see. And also, you know how social media works. So what do you mean you were not expecting this video to be seen by anyone? I can maybe understand that you weren't expecting it to blow up to the degree that it did, to the volume that it did. But to say that you weren't expecting for anyone to see it when you also still made sure that it looked good, you're lying to me. You're actually lying to me. That made zero sense to me. Genuinely. How do you put in the effort to make a good quality video that's like accessible to people and cleaned up, but say that you had no idea that anyone would see it? If you truly didn't expect anyone to see it, you would have posted it privately to say that like this wasn't meant to be on such a massive scale, that this wasn't meant for everybody to see. That was pissing me off. And then I was like trying to stick with her nonsense humor. And my final straw. Oh she has this part where she is getting ready for the day and she is doing her makeup. And I don't care if I'm overreacting. I'm gonna read to you the section that did it, that actually broke my spirit. I pull out my makeup bag, getting to work on concealer and foundation with the focus of an artist at her canvas, flicking on my cat eye liner like an executioner sharpening her blade. Get the fuck out of here with this corny ass cat eye sharp enough to kill a man ass writing. Get so far away from me. This was a level of corny, cheesy Taylor Swift nonsense that actually I wish I had the book physically to throw it. I'm itchy. I'm itchy. Cat eyeliner like an executioner sharpening her blade. Shut up. You're also well established in the story, Ava, as being cowardly and a pushover and a loser. What blade? What execution? You put on eyeliner. And you are proud to be a girl failure. I'm so sick of you flicking on my cat eyeliner like an executioner sharpening her blade. And because this was 3 days ago, the rage is still fresh. And that's one of those really annoying DNFs that I think is gonna piss me off for the rest of my life. Flicking on my cat eyeliner like an executioner sharpening her blade. You are getting ready for work, and those are my rage quit style DNFs of the year thus far. We'll see what pisses me off for the rest of this year, but I love to hear what everyone else was hating, what everyone else despised to the point of not even being able to carry on. Let me know. Thank you for joining the hater convention for even just a brief moment. Okay, bye.